Talk TV. And if you've got kids who enjoy the pool, then listen up. Or if you've got kids who are being competitive in the pool, you really will want to listen up. Joining us today is Brooks Sipes. She is committed to swim at William Carey University next week, but she's also working to grow the sport in Mississippi. So welcome, Brooks.
Hi.
It's good to have you here, and it's good to see that you're taking something that you are clearly passionate about and trying to spread that to others. But let's go back in I say time, you're only 17, but way back in the time machine. When did you get introduced to the sport of swimming?
Well, so it started with my mom. She always told me I needed to be in a sport. I've tried just about all the sports up until 9, and I just finally decided to try swimming. And I kind of got in the sport a little bit. She kind of had to force me a little bit to go to the practices. It was kind of hard for me to...
So that happens, huh? To
yes,
other
ma'am.
kids.
Yes. But anyways, eventually, as time went on, I learned that I actually really do love the sport, and I've kind of just stuck with it ever since.
Did you start with, which I know right now, June is kind of that hot month for... I guess club swim or more of like your community swim where it's like, what is it, just for the month of June, and then you have like city meet? I know it's maybe different in different communities because you're from, where do you swim at? Where are you from?
I swim in Oxford, Mississippi, but we swim on Shockwave Club.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's kind of like for a lot of community kids, that is their introduction into the sport of swimming, because for a long time it felt like high schools didn't have the swim teams that they sort of do now. So have you graduated Oxford yet?
Yes, ma'am. We just graduated in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Does Oxford have a swim team?
Yes, ma'am. They do.
So you were able to lead into that as you got into school. What was it like being able to compete at school on a swim team?
I had to say it was a lot of fun. It really helped me kind of find my community of people. Not only that, but it gave me something to do in high school and kind of put my identity in.
Is the sport of swimming growing in high schools in Mississippi?
Definitely. It's grown a lot over the past decade or whatever, with swimmers with bigger names kind of coming along. It kind of grows the sport, and along with that, you have just parents wanting to get their kids into the pool and learning about Shockwave, and then or other clubs, and then finding the high school swimming teams.
Because I feel like still the clubs are kind of like that feeder into it, right? And there's some kids who do their high school but then never do club, and then there's some that do it all, and then they also do, like, I guess, the year round. So is Shockwaves, is that like a summer league, or is that a 365-day league for you guys in Oxford?
So Shockwave is year round. So is just about most of the clubs that I'm aware of in Mississippi. They're all year round.
And that's one of the uniqueness of swim as a sport, correct, Brooks, is that
Yes,
you guys
ma'am.
get to be competitive 365 days a year. Well, maybe not competitive, but you
Yes,
have
ma'am.
the ability to continue your sport
It
year
is
round.
a whole year endeavor, which a lot of other sports are always surprised to hear about. But yes, ma'am.
You mentioned the big names, Brooks, and for some of us who have been disconnected from that sport or swim, or maybe not as connected to it, with you being someone looking up to those that went to the next level or made a name for Mississippi in swim, who are those that come to mind for you in terms of like current swimmers that are making a name for themselves and from Mississippi?
From Mississippi, well, so one girl that swam on my team, her name is Julia Dennis. She's swimming at Louisville right now. Just finished maybe 6th in nationals. Well, she is doing great. She's a sprinter at Louisville, and she's just always been somebody that I've looked up to. There's plenty of other swimmers as well, not just on my team, on teams everywhere else as well. On the non-college level, there is Rachel McAlpin. She's actually so I'm the senior rep for Mississippi. She's the junior rep. She just swam at nationals and completed 8th in the nation. And that's also some pretty cool stuff that's happening in Mississippi.
I think it's a under-talked about sport in terms of the talent that comes out of our state, right? You know, talking about going to that next level, it's sad that we only have so few for kids to go to. Delta State being a long-standing swim program, an outstanding one. Millsaps being one, and now you're getting to go William Carey University, and this is a new program there in terms of swim.
Yes, ma'am. So their first season was last year, so it is full of a bunch of freshmen, and next year it'll be full of a little bit more swimmers. And I'm excited to be one of those swimmers on the team.
So, Brooks, what's your, I guess, stroke of choice?
My stroke is breaststroke. I do a little bit of sprint free as well, but I do primarily stick to breaststroke.
When did you decide that's my stroke?
Probably I'm not the best. So the other 3 strokes is freestyle, butterfly, and backstroke. And ability-wise, I am not the best with butterfly and backstroke. It's not. I can tell that it's not.
It's
for me.
It's probably not fun, right? Like if
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
not fun, you're like, okay, maybe this one isn't for me.
Yes, ma'am. And I have to say, breaststroke requires a little bit of flexibility. And that just kind of came natural to me. I've always had the natural breaststroke kick, as people call it. So knowing that, I just kind of stuck with it.
You started at 9, Brooks, and then at some point you had to realize, okay, I'm above average at this thing called swimming, right? And I think, some kids can go through. I think it's one of those sports that's very welcoming of kids of all abilities, particularly at high schools, which is really nice because basically if you can swim and complete the strokes, then you can be welcomed on most of the teams, and have that experience. But then there are those that you go, you know what, I want to push myself and I want to see how, if I can be competitive at the next level. Where in your, because 9 is, early to start. So when did you kind of get the bug of maybe, hey, Brooks could be good at this?
It took me, I would say, longer than most. For a while, I was just swimming for fun. I love the sport. Obviously, I'm wanting to do it in college, but it did take me a second to realize that. It wasn't up until freshman year, I would say I started going through some burnout, kind of questioning if I really did want to continue the sport anymore, just because I'd been doing it for so long,
And it's year-round. And that is another, that can be another drawback. Yeah.
It's time-consuming, and sometimes swimming can be monotonous, as in any other sport. But I had some seniors on my club sport, or on Shockwave, that kind of encouraged me to keep going. They told me that they saw a lot of potential in me that I didn't see in myself, and maybe really consider if this is something that I wanted to continue doing, not just throughout high school, but in my future. And not only did I have some really good seniors, I also had an amazing coach who is actually the coach that I'm going to go swim for in the next 4 years. But he also always told me how much potential I had and how I did not see that. It didn't happen until, my sophomore year in high school, where I became state champion in Oxford the high school.
Congratulations.
Of all of it. And I didn't even know where that came from. I was like, I'm state champion? Like, how did that happen?
You hit the wall first.
Right.
Or the faster, should I say.
Yes, ma'am. But that kind of is just like kind of a realization that, I have the ability to pursue this further.
Obviously, swimmers put in the laps in the pool and the hours in the pool, but there's to be that next level, there's a lot that goes on outside of the pool, too. So swimmers looking to go to that next level, what are they doing, Brooks? What are y'all doing in addition to, obviously, your training in the water?
Well, are you talking like
workouts or just things that you're thinking about, like other kinds of, whether it's mental training or strength training? What else goes into making you a collegiate swimmer?
Well, there's actually a lot that goes untalked about. The mental aspect, I mentioned earlier that I went through burnout. That's something a lot of athletes go through. Swimming, you're staring at the bottom of the pool, like the same tiles every single day, the same ceiling every day. It gets really monotonous. So kind of overcoming that, learning how to overcome that. But not only that, you have a lot of nerves leading up to your races, and so it takes a while to learn how to overcome that. Outside of the mental aspect, there's also the nutrition side of things. You have to make sure that you're eating the right things, even though your friends may not be, and making sure you're fueling your body with those right things. That way, for when you have those early morning practices, your body is fueled to do that.
Takes a lot of commitment, Brooks, and too a lot of passion, which you're using to spread in the growth of the sport here in Mississippi. So we got more with Brooks Sipes coming up. Us too on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station, and you can watch us. We're on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. We're continuing our conversation with swimmer Brooks Sipes. She will be swimming at William Carey University coming up this year, but she has a history of swimming in Oxford for the high school. And then remind me your club swim. Shockwave. I'll remember it by the end of the day, Brooks. But you've also been selected twice by, is it Mississippi Swimming, for a junior rep last year?
Yes, ma'am.
And then a senior rep this year. Mm-hmm. So tell us about Mississippi Swimming. What does that organization sort of do, and what do you do as a rep?
Okay, so Mississippi Swimming is under USA Swimming, and then under USA Swimming we go into zones, and then we're in the southern zone, mm-hmm. and then after that we go into our LSCs. So for that we have our Mississippi LSC, and we have like this whole governance. We have our chair, our vice chair, DEI, and other chairs, but we also have senior rep and junior rep. And that is for athletes to get some their voices into the governance. So if there's anything that athletes have an opinion on, they want change, they want something done, they have a place to vote and to kind of bring that to light to the other people on the chair.
So are you voted in by your peers, or are you selected by Mississippi Swimming?
So kind of the whole process for that is in July, you'll run for your junior rep. What you do is you fill out an application, and then you give a speech to the athletes, and the athletes vote you in.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. So it really is the athlete's voice being shown through all that. And what we do is we'll have monthly meetings with the athletes committee. Anyone can be on that committee, but it's just so everybody can kind of filter through their team to the athlete on that committee, to the senior and junior rep, that way that they can speak to the governance. One thing that we were wanting to do is create a swim meet that isn't a normal swim meet, mm-hmm. but a little bit different. It kind of involves all swimmers of all different abilities. Swimming, you can kind of get stressed and just like kind of get in your own little space. Mm-hmm. But what this swim meet was, what was so special about this swim meet is instead of being on your team, so I'm on Shockwave, there's Mako, Sunkiss, Biloxi, whatever team there is, instead of that, you get split. It was like a draft. Mm-hmm. And so I was on a team with a Mako swimmer and somebody from another team, and that kind of
forced you into having new friends too.
It did, and kind of just showed you that though it may be a competitive sport, it's outside of that. It kind of showed you how to have healthy competition, and that these aren't just athletes; they can be your friends.
And they're human beings.
And they're human beings, exactly. So it kind of just showed you that you're not alone. Even though it is kind of an individual sport, it is also a team sport, and kind of showed you that there are other people there.
That is one of the interesting factors about swim as a sport, which you had, during the break, Brooks, you and I were talking about, like track kind of falls into this, where it's very individual. You have your individual events, your individual times, your individual, ability to go on to that next level, to progress to either state level or nationals or beyond. But it's also a team sport where you're collecting points, and then, you have the relays, and you have sort of all the other things and that kind of thing. And so it gives you kind of the best of like both worlds in that way. But yeah, I can see where, especially if you're showing up to all the short course or then long course meets, and you just see the same names, they can just become not enemies, but targets or things, and to be able to break that down. So was that welcomed well amongst the athletes, the swimmers in Mississippi?
I would say so. We kind of brought the idea to the meet. We had those monthly meetings. We kind of brought it up. Everyone seemed to really like it, and then I brought it to the coaches, and the coaches loved the idea. And they really did help us kind of get that started. At the swim meet itself.
Where was it?
It was actually in here, Jackson, or it was in Flowood, hosted at the Mako's pool. We just thought it was the most central location for all of Mississippi. But So we did have a little bit of a weather inconvenience.
Imagine that in Mississippi.
Right, especially this year. We've been having a lot of rain. But I think I think it turned out to be the best it possibly could have been, because the athletes grew, like, together. Like, you saw athletes that weren't on just Mako's hanging out with them. Like, they were all intermingling. And that was the goal of this meet, was for everybody to kind of intermingle with each other and realize that we're all
swimmers.
We're all swimmers. We're all friends. Like, it was really great. So with the junior and senior rep, we kind of led the meet, but with the rain delay, you could see the swimmers kind of taking lead and taking action. There were people just, like, playing games, throwing, like, doing a volleyball game, like, over on the side during the weather delay. And it was just so great to see that swimmers were getting along, getting together outside of just swimming.
Yeah, which can sometimes feel like it's a bubble and it's sort of isolated in that way. As senior rep this year, Brooks, you got new ideas, or it's just going to be expanding on this meet? Did this meet have a name?
We called it the All-State Swim Meet.
All-State Swim Meet. Will y'all continue the All-State Swim Meet even beyond your reign as junior or senior rep? I say reign term, probably is better. There was no crown, but you probably could use one. Will it continue once you roll off, or will this be something you bring back next year as a senior rep?
So in July, I will step down from being senior rep, and since Rachel is the junior rep currently, she will step into my senior rep position. And the goal is for her to be able to kind of bring this into action again, and maybe if there was any little things that we thought we could make better, she'll be able to do that and make it even more flawless than it was this time.
Why is it important to you, Brooks, to be involved in that level in your sport?
Well, honestly, it's just to get the voice of swimmers out there. Like, so I said earlier how when I was a freshman I had some seniors kind of encourage me. Well, one of those seniors was the junior and senior rep, and she kind of encouraged me to do the same, just because I would say that I was a leader on my team, and she thought that I could do that on a bigger scale, and kind of just speak for the athletes. And I really do think that I was able to do that. It was a lot of fun, and I was really glad to have had that opportunity to do so.
How much influence do senior or junior or senior level athletes, regardless of what that means, whether it's in high school or just have seasoned, have for those younger ones coming up, like to give back and mentor?
I would say quite a bit. I mean, it's not like if you're a junior or senior rep, it means you're better than anyone else by any means. But I think that the swimmers that do know about it, they're kind of you're seen as a leader in aspects, and that they want to be like you, whether that be in the leader form or just join the athletes committee and be a speaker for their team.
Get involved. Have a say,
exactly.
That their voices matter, and sort of that way.
And realize that they can make a difference. It's not just the coaches kind of telling them what to do and things like that.
So now that you're graduated and you're going on to be a college swimmer, how does that sound, Brooks?
Sounds pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting. For parents listening, for kids, is it too late to start the sport of swim? I mean, 9, there's a lot that start like 5 and 6, so even 9, you might consider that not too late, but middle of the road. Is it ever too late to start looking into the sport of swim?
It's absolutely never too late. We have swimmers starting in high school and starting middle school, high school, and they gain traction and become really, really strong swimmers by the end of it. One of my friends started swimming in middle school, and she went on to swim in college as well. So it's not about it being too late. It's about the passion, I would say.
I love that, too. And it's a great community.
It is.
It's really cool rallying around, watching a race, seeing everyone come out, cheer for all the different abilities. Sure, you're cheering for the person who comes across first, but then also for that person who's trying something hard for the first time, and sort of all of that too. Do you have a favorite memory of swim, high school swim there at Oxford?
Winning
state champion.
I would say probably my eighth grade. No, I don't remember which year it was, but I was able to watch my older senior girls win a relay, and that was really exciting. Even though I wasn't on the relay, it was really exciting to see, like, I was able to watch them practice and put in that work in the pool and kind of carry that through. That was really exciting.
One of the best moments in swim in terms of nationally is watching Michael Phelps get excited when they won I can't even remember the relay and who all was on it, but I see his face when they realize the last leg is coming back to like win gold and beat whoever. You get emotional and you're not even the one that's like vested sort of in it. Well, Brooks, you've got nothing but a bright future. Good luck at William Carey University swimming, and you're always welcome back here.
Thank you so much.
All right, you guys stick with this. We got more for you coming up next.